morning, folks. Thank you for joining us today for another America's Newspapers webinar. My name is Patty Slusher. I'm the Program Director for America's Newspapers, and want to thank you all for participating today. Just a few housekeeping items. I know many of you have participated in several of our webinars, but we always have new folks, so I just want to make sure everybody kind of knows the rules of the road. All of you will be muted on the call, so just to keep things quiet and distraction free. And Carlos and Eric, that's a reminder to you and myself to turn your cell phones off or put them on silent mode so they don't ring. But just because you're muted doesn't mean we don't want to hear from you. We do want to hear from you, and we hope that you will type any questions you have for our presenters today, Carlos and Eric, into the question and answer platform on the webinar, and we will take those questions as we move along, and we'll also have plenty of time near the end for any other questions. And I do imagine you will have a lot, so please go ahead and type them in at any time, and I'll give you a couple more reminders. Chances are good if you have a question, please ask it, because somebody else probably has the same question and maybe they won't, so do participate. Lastly, you will get a copy. This is important, and this is the most asked question I get. Yes, you will get a copy of the PowerPoint presentation so that you can have all of this in writing. You will also get access to a recording of the PowerPoint. And lastly, you will get the webinar takeaways, which are produced by America's Newspapers. Cindy Durham will be composing those, and they're a very nice summary of the key points of the webinar today. So they go hand in hand with the PowerPoint and the recording. So you will get all those things. So we're about ready to get started. I am going to turn the program over to Carlos Ruiz and Eric Bonoff. I believe Eric is going to lead us off today. Eric, you're up.
Great. Thank you, Patty, and thank you for having us. We're excited to share some of the things the Star Tribune is doing. So first off, just wanted to highlight that we'll be sharing today about how the Star Tribune utilizes GIS to drive ad revenue, find efficiencies, and deepen our relationships with customers. Before we jump in, I'll quickly give you an update on the Star Tribune as a whole. We're the 5th largest Sunday circulation in the country. We hit over 1 million homes in print each weekend through our TMC products. We recently surpassed over 100,000 digital-only subscribers, and StarTribune.com has had record traffic in 2020. We are fortunate to be locally owned by Glenn Taylor and led by Mike Klingensmith, our CEO, and Gene Taylor, the head of the board, leading us through a time of media transformation. The goal today is to learn about how the Star Tribune utilizes GIS and how you can take some key learnings back to your organizations. The information can get extremely technical, and I'll be jumping in to tie it back to different business opportunities. So please, as Patty mentioned, ask questions. We really want to make this a useful part of your time. With that, I'll turn it over to Carlos Ruiz. Carlos is the Director of Business Geographics at Star Tribune, and he's going to walk you through what is GIS and a few case studies on how we use it. Carlos?
Thank you. Thank you very much, Eric, and thank you, Patty, for hosting us. And good morning or good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. In today's agenda, we have, we're going to describe, we're going to define what GIS is briefly. We are going to describe what our GIS department looks like at Star Tribune. And then we are going to look at 4 examples of how Star Tribune is benefiting from using this powerful technology of GIS. We'll take a look at segmentation analysis. We'll take a look at market saturation using a combination of print and addressable geofencing. We'll take a look at routing. And finally, last thing, we'll take a look at a new interactive tool that will be rolling out shortly to our sales folks. So what is GIS? Basically is a computer mapping with sophisticated spatial analysis capabilities. That's a very straightforward definition. We can go into a lot more detail, but I think that will give you a very good understanding of what the tool does. It's mapping with spatial or geographic analysis capabilities. GIS is used everywhere, in government agencies as well as in the private sector. Cities use it for urban planning and zoning. States and the federal government use it for forestry and wildlife management. Utility companies like electrical, water, gas, cable use it for maintaining their networks. Retail businesses, insurance, transportation, etc. And of course, always also newspapers. And that's what we are going to base this presentation on, GIS in newspapers. Star Tribune has a dedicated GIS department for the sales and marketing unit. We also support occasionally the circulation department. And by design, my department is completely separate and independent from the GIS unit in news. So here are the 4 main tools that my department uses. For our main GIS platform, we use ArcGIS by Esri. For marketing segmentation, we use 2 systems, mainly Prism Premier by Claritas, and also we have access to Esri's Tapestry. For consumer and business data mining, we license Data Axle's Genie. And for address standardization and hygiene, we use Melissa's Mailers Plus 4. Those are the 4 main tools. We have many others, but those are probably the more relevant for this presentation. This slide illustrates how we use GIS in our department for sales and marketing. GIS being at the center, the main engine, if you will. And surrounding the ArcGIS, our main platform, we have all these different type of data coming from different sources that we can bring into the GIS, align them together, register them together, and be able to create outputs, which can be very diverse. It can go from very sophisticated customer profiling to defining trade areas or identifying areas with highest potential for growth, site selection analysis, routing, of course, mapping, lots of mapping, and the goal is to provide our salespeople as well as our advertisers with actionable insights and recommendations. But you can see that we bring in tables, digital geographies that can be standard or custom geographies, locations, and segmentation system. So we're gonna jump in now and talk about our first example of how we use this tool at Star Tribune.
Hey, and Carlos, I'll jump in here quick. What Carlos is going to do is walk you through a first example of how we look at a customer analysis for advertising. And ultimately what we're doing is building deeper and stronger relationships with our partners and using their data along with ours to make better marketing decisions, both for Star Tribune as well as our customer base. And so how it works in terms of the revenue side is we either charge for the service, or mostly we build it into incremental opportunities to help win and retain business. Carlos?
Yes, very good. So like Eric mentioned, we provide this service to current advertisers as well as potential new advertisers. And I have here a list of this type of advertisers. It can be a retail business, like a furniture or appliance or groceries, financial institutions, credit unions, dealers, car dealers, etc., home services, professional sports organizations, entertainment industry. We have casinos, zoos, museums. So many potential advertisers out there, current and prospects, that we can help with this type of analysis. The one thing that all of these advertisers have in common is one thing, that they all have maintained and own a customer or a subscriber or a membership database. A database with customers' names or members' names, address, and transactional data. With this data, advertisers' transactional database, we can bring that into our GIS and combine that with our segmentation system, either Prism or Tapestry, and we can find the hidden information that is in that database and convert it into business intelligence and answer these four basic but very crucial questions. Number one, where are your subscribers or members, customers coming from? Who are your best customers? Where can you find more? And number four, how can Star Tribune help you reach, engage, and grow your customer base? So those four questions, they are basic questions, but very important. Not every advertiser know the answers to those questions. They might have a gut feeling, but they haven't done a scientific analysis of their customer database. We can help them understand and answer those questions. Before doing that, I'm going to briefly talk about the tool segmentation system that we use. In this case is Prism Premier by Caritas. And what this system does is that it classifies all households in the country into very well-defined, unique segments using a combination of demographic variables and psychographics and consumer behavior and so forth. They have their own secret formula and are able to assign a unique segment to every single household in the country. We license that information that allow us to do this type of analysis. So the first question was, where are your customers coming from? The GIS is the perfect tool to answer that question. This is an example here. We have 6 store locations, and the advertiser provided us with their sales data, customers information for a month, and after geocoding those addresses, we can plot them on the map. There are a bunch of little red dots all over the place. Those are our customer. Then we can create buffers around the locations and see how many customers are coming within a 5, a 10, and a 15 miles. radius, here we can see that 90% of all the customers and sales are coming within 15 miles. But because we have a bunch of stores, we're going to combine all of the customers together and create a unique primary trade area. And that's the blue line. This blue line is based on the closest 90% of the customers to the mean center of the spatial distribution of those customers. It's very important to have this primary trade area well defined, because the analysis is based on this concept. We have two populations now. We have the customer population. In this case, it was 3,100. And we have the universe of households within the blue trade area. And we're going to compare the two populations and do some statistical work and come up with some numbers that we're going to use to answer the second question: who are your best customers? The segmentation system Prism has 68 segments. We want to classify those 68 segments into these 4 buckets: core, conversion, niche, and non-target. This is based on 2 key variables: the market index for each segment and the percent composition of each segment. If it is in the index over 100 and is greater than 4%, that will make the segment fall within the core bucket. And these are the best of the best segments for this particular advertiser. Then we have a second bucket.
Hey, Carlos, just real quick, sorry to jump in, but the core to this, I think, as an opportunity for all is when we can identify what our core customers are and who those conversion segments are, we can message to them differently in different ways to either move a conversion segment into a core segment or get really specific into a niche segment. And it's making our marketing dollars go farther, be more efficient. And that's one of the key benefits that an advertiser sees from utilizing these services.
That's exactly right. Remember, we started out with 68 segments, and now we are down here to 5 + 2, 7. So we are very, very targeted. Anyway, once we identify the best customers, and in this exercise, we're going to focus on segment number 6, which is the best of the best, right? Because index the highest and is also at the same time the largest, close to 10%, and an index close to 250. So let's take a look at what a number 6 looks like. Number 6, the nickname for that segment is Winner's Circle. And this is a snapshot of what the segment looks like. Average age goes between 35 to 64. They are well educated. Employment in the management and professional. They are above average when talking about the technical usage. Homeowners, most of 90% are homeowners and married with kids. And when you look at their income producing assets, they are very well-off folks. You can see that 20% of them have over $1 million in income producing assets. Anyway, we can use all of this information to better understand our advertisers' best customers. In this case, we're talking about the core, but we can, like Eric mentioned, we can also do the same thing for the conversion and the niche. But so we have answered question 1 and question 2. Now, question number 3 is, where can you find more of them? In this map, we are looking at the incidence of households that are Winner's Circle by zip code, and the color of the zip code tells you how many of them are. Here we're only showing the incidence. Sometimes we do also the density or the percent penetration by zip code. And better yet is using both the incidence and the density combined. We do that and identify the best zip codes based on high density and high incidence. But that answers the question number 3. Where should you be focusing to gain new customers. So then we move on to question number 4, and this is more of a sales portion, and Eric can take care of this better than me.
Perfect. Thanks, Carlos. That's questionable. After we answer those 3 important business questions, we're able to put it all together into a marketing strategy that we can utilize, that utilizes all of our tools in our toolbox, whether it's display, social, print, direct mail, etc., whatever makes the most sense for your advertiser. And what we focus on is again, what's going to be the most effective way of hitting your goals. We can also use this for our advertising partners to get better results, as the case studies show, or we can utilize it to help us grow our digital subscriptions, our opt-ins, our subscribers, etc.
That's right. We have had all our print subscribers and digital subscribers profile using Prism. So we have a database, a household database with all our subscribers and non-subscribers with a Prism segment. So we can be very targeted and in selecting the target of interest.
And that's actually what we're going to share really quickly on the next 2 slides is ultimately, how Star Tribune is using one of our most valuable assets, our subscriber base, both print, digital, and how we help our customers be more effective with their messaging and their spend across platforms. And this, as Carlos mentioned, this is at the household level, utilizing latitude and longitude, addressable targeting, which again makes us most efficient in getting our messaging in front of the right customer.
We're going to illustrate Eric's point using this example that we did recently for a major home improvement retailer. Their goal was to increase foot traffic to their physical locations. And they were very interested in saturating areas or zip codes within their trade areas. And a trade area defined by a 5-mile radius surrounding their locations. The strategy was to send a Sunday insert in the paid Star Tribune, and also in the opt-in product that we call our product Strip Express. Obviously, that doesn't cover everybody. The non-subscribers will be targeted using addressable geofencing. So they will be getting their messages via digitally via addressable geofencing. This is the footprint of the retailers. The zip codes in green are the ones that they want to target within 5 miles of the locations. When we zoom in at the street level detail, here we can see what Eric was talking about. The parcels in green are Star Tribune paid subscribers. The ones in purple are our opt-in recipients, Strip Express. The ones in yellow do not get Star Tribune or Strip Express, and those folks can be reached via addressable geofencing. And
Carlos,
the beauty of
Carlos or Eric, can you define or talk about addressable geofencing, exactly what it is you're talking about?
Yes. So ultimately, it's I think as easy as this, as we look at a household by household basis, and we're serving up ads within that household based on your physical address, and that's tying it back to multiple touch points, whether it's IP, subscriber data, et cetera. And so it's being able to really target a message to a potential customer on a house by house basis.
Yep. We can target those parcels using their latitude, longitude coordinates and send a message to a mobile phone or a laptop or a tablet that falls within the boundaries of those parcels of interest.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And I think right before we go off, I think a key to this too is, that's one example of how you can utilize the data. Other ways that we're exploring and working on with customers is reach and frequency. So if someone is dropping an insert on a Sunday, we won't want to talk to them throughout the next 7 days, throughout that weekly ad, to remind them to utilize the preprint. It's really hopefully increasing our efficiency and the results that the preprint drives. We all know it works, but it's scrutinized. And so we need to make sure that we're focusing on highlighting all the ways that it does show success. So this is one way, and there's lots of other ways you can slice and dice your, the assets that you have available.
I'll move on to the next example, routing delivery network. GIS we have subscribers all over the state, and Duluth is about 2 hours north of the Twin Cities. We have a substantial number of subscribers and single copy sales. But suddenly, during the last summer, our contractor gave us notice that they were quitting the distribution of our products in that area. So we had to hire new agents and drivers to deliver our paper up north. But before doing that, we had to create a new network from scratch. And we had to do it fairly fast, very quickly, because we didn't have a lot of time, and we didn't want to have our subscribers miss the paper. So the objective was to, based on our subscribers and single copy outlets that we have up there, and based on hard parameters, create the most efficient distribution network of routes, and at the same time minimizing the overall cost in time and miles. So we were able to do a very good job using GIS, and we license an extension to our main platform by the name Network Analyst. That's the extension that we use to solve the problem, to do the routing. And as a street network, we also license an S3 product by the name Street Map Premium, which is very, very good. It has all the real-life intelligence in the system, things like speed limits, one-ways, no left turns, no U-turns, etc., etc. Combining the Network Analyst with the Street Map Premium, and these were the conditions that we had to meet, right? We had a total of 1,200 Sunday subscribers and 135 single copy outlets. We had daily 828 and 123 outlets. The routes were to be combined, home delivery and single copy, for both Sunday and daily. And we were also distributing not just Star Tribune, but also the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal. Conditions for the routes, for home delivery stops, the service time has to be 30 seconds or less. For the single copy outlet stop, service time, no more than 90 seconds. The maximum route time for a Sunday route is 5 hours. For a daily, 3 hours. The deadline for Sunday has to be before 9 a.m. For the daily, before 7 a.m. Starting point, all the routes got to start from the Duluth distribution depot, and the last delivery for each route based on the most efficient delivery sequence algorithm. So we enter all of that, all of those conditions into the system, and is able to generate mathematically the best way of doing that distribution. Here we are looking at the output. On the left side, we have the Sunday routes. The program came up with 10 different routes, 10 routes, and calculated the service time, the travel time, then we can do the total time and the total number of miles. And those are the two pieces of information that our director of state circulation needed to price the routes before meeting with the new contractors to come to have for the meeting and be able to sell the routes and the contractor to be happy with the profits. We were able to do this in such a short time because of GIS, and no subscriber or single copy outlet missed a delivery. They couldn't tell the difference that it was being done by a different delivery person. This is an example
just jumping in, Carlos. I mean, you're being a little modest. This was a big undertaking for your team, and you were able to move quickly under a month and solve a very important business challenge without any hiccups, as you mentioned. So, great job. And this just so everyone knows, this is something we do for our organization, and we have done for others as well.
Yes. This is just thank you, Eric. This is just an example of one route. Sunday combination of single copy with subscribers, total of 131 stops, total time a little bit under 5 hours, total miles 100 miles. You can see the red line linking all the stops, and of course we can also provide the list of the stops in the delivery sequence in the best delivery way, most efficient way. This is the same route number 6, but for the daily paper. A little bit fewer stops, less time, less miles. The reason why we're talking about this one routing exercise is because routes change with time. People move, people cancel, new subscribers, so routes don't stay the same very long. And it's easy to forget about that and keep paying contractors and drivers the same amount of money for maybe fewer stops or fewer miles. Our recommendation is to revisit your current distribution, run a solution, an algorithm using a software like the one that we used to take a look at the current situation and see if you can find savings. If you find fewer miles and less hours, that translates to savings in dollars.
How often, Carlos, do you do those reassessments?
Not as often as we should, I think. Maybe we've done it. We used to do it a lot more often. Now, I'd say maybe once a year.
Okay.
Great question.
So the last thing that we would like to share with you guys is this new software that we are providing our salespeople in the next week or two. It is an interactive map tool that is very powerful and very easy to use, and is not expensive at all. Very, very inexpensive, actually. The key benefits for doing this is that we can provide our salespeople with a tool that they can use without having a degree in mapping, but it can accelerate the process of making straightforward sales recommendations. They can do it on their own, in the office, or in the field, without having to go through my department. Avoid that funnel. Also provides the ability to do sales and consulting work in real time via Teams or Zoom meetings with our advertisers, which is very important nowadays, as you know, since we are still under this pandemic. Important to realize that ArcReader is not meant to replace the department. It's just an additional tool that we are providing our salespeople so that they can do simple things or on their own and avoid a 2-day or a 3-day delay.
Yeah, that's the key, everybody. It's being able to have the data and information at their fingertips across all the different opportunities that we have to sell our audience and audiences in general.
The tool will be installed in salespeople's laptops. And as long as they have access to the internet, they can connect to our OneDrive share folder where I have all the maps and all the data files. As an end user, they only have to open the program and navigate to the right map that will answer the question that they are after. So we are providing them right now with a bunch of demographic maps describing population by age, by generation, renters versus owners, homeowners, houses with children, median household income, spending, the most important, the most relevant type of demographic variables. We're also providing a digital traffic map where they can right away in an instant, in real time, look at the number of page views per month for a given geography. And also our print products. In this case, we are doing the print and deliver maps for Sunday and Thursday, and the generic template of our home delivery zones. But
and I think the exciting thing part here, Carlos, is when we go to the next page, it's really about the output. There's just all these different data points that are coming into this software that is that we could talk about, I think, for days. But the output is what's going to help our sales team in the field so they can, strategically move sales conversations forward and not have to wait for information to go back to their clients.
Yes. So this is an example of the type of output that they will be able to, that they will have access to. So this map is zooming in our NDM, and we are looking at the home delivery zone B14. B14 is the purple line is the boundary for the zones, the home delivery zones. This particular zone, B14, has two zip codes, 359 and 356. Every zip code in our market starts with 55, so we only use the last 3 digits of the number of the zip code. So B14 has 2 zip codes. Now the color of the zip code tells you right away what the product that we offer. So if it's green, we offer all 3 products: our core product, our opt-in, and our opt-out product. So in a zip code in green, we reach close to total saturation with print. Zip codes that are orange, we offer Star Tribune and Strip Express, our opt-in, but not the opt-out. But you click on any zone, and right away you have access to all this information listed on the right side of the slide. This is Minnesota.
So maybe I'll just jump in quick, Carlos, and I think this is important. So if you're looking to a multi-location retailer or a one-location, spa, you have at your fingertips the information needed across all of the different product lines that you can sell on print, digital, etc. And being able to see all this information, it just makes you more strategic in the field. You understand the different levers that you can pull to drive the results for your customers, and ultimately, hopefully drive the best results, which will keep happy customers.
Like I said, it's extremely easy to use and very powerful. And we didn't invest that much money at all. So we are going to get a great return on investment. But the key numbers here, we are providing our print circulation, our digital traffic counts, and some, like I mentioned, key demographic variables. Let's move on to the next. Okay, well, I guess that was it. Here I'm showing the top 3 commercial GIS systems that are out in the market. There are many more out there, but I think these are the top 3. And the one that we use at Star Tribune is ESRI, as our main GIS platform.
Carlos,
yes.
Before we go there's a very particular question. Maybe this is back to you, Eric. I don't know if you see it or not, but I'll throw it up. Okay. Trying to launch something like this with sales teams is a huge challenge. How do you address training, retention, turnover of reps, and ensure they are getting the activity you need to make the successful calls where you can close business?
That's a great question, and one that I think you could go a lot of different avenues. I think the key back to this particular tool is the ease of use for the average or for the customer or for the sales rep is ultimately our plan is to open up a training that's going to overarching share what this tool can do and how it can work, and then continue to talk about it in ways that they can utilize it, because doing one training here, it's not going to get the retention and the usage that we want. We need to consistently talk about the benefits that it provides the sales reps and using their time efficiently so they can go out and make more phone calls. Our goal is, we want to make as many calls and have as many meetings and as many opportunities as possible, and giving the tools that our sales reps need at their fingertips is going to make them do their jobs easier. So yes, there's a lot of heavy lifting that we have to do to get it to this point, and Carlos has put in a lot of time and effort to get to this point, but I think it's just a methodical way of that you set it up and talk about it, and it's not a set it and forget it. We've done some of these things like this in the past. It wasn't to this extent, and doing it this way, we need to make sure that we get the usage. Otherwise, it's not worth it. I think is the point.
That is true. The good thing is that it's extremely easy to use. You don't within 10-15 minutes. You know what you are doing, and you can see the value of it and what you can get out of it. If people have to spend a lot of time and the program is buggy and crashes on you and you don't get any good information out of it, people will not use it. We've been in that situation in the past. This program is robust, it is bug-free, and it is reliable, and it is extremely easy to use and not expensive at all. So it has also so many pluses that I think is going to be a great success. But yeah, it's everything. We have to keep training and providing the best tools available to make people's sales faster and easier and make more revenue. And I think this would be a hit too.
I just want to throw out, just for the folks on the call, to make sure they understand that Carlos is in the GIS department. Eric is the director of advertising. So I just want to differentiate there that Carlos is the technical side and Eric is the person responsible for making sure that the salespeople actually do this. So I'm pointing this out because it's not just one or the other, right? The technical guy is still working with the actual folks that are going to implement it. They're both on board here, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, that's an important piece. I mean, I think me and Carlos work really well together as we work through some of these pieces and how we can roll it out to the sales teams in an effective way.
Right. If you guys don't mind, I want to go back. There's a question posted, and I want to make sure in case anybody has to jump off that we answer the question submitted. It's a two-part question, and this was back when we were defining and talking about geofencing. How does the addressable geofencing compare in price to insert delivery? Is it about the same, more, or less expensive?
That's a great question. I mean, in terms of on a CPM model, it's less because you don't have the printing costs or the inserting costs. Just as, let's just say on average, an addressable geofencing is around $10. Maybe your average insert is about $50, but that doesn't include the printing portion of it.
Okay.
Does that answer the question? So it's less. I'd say the effectiveness of a printed piece, I'm a firm believer in the preprint and the newspaper because it's a different experience. When you're actively reading through a newspaper or an insert, you're engaging in that product. When you're scrolling through on your phone, checking sports scores, and I see an ad for X retailer, I don't necessarily click on the ad, but it was effective, just a different type of effectiveness.
Right. One's probably more push, the other one's more pull. So, okay.
And I was going to add that also you can use it as a retargeting technique of the print product. You send the print product to these paid subscribers, and a few days later, you can retarget them via geofencing, reinforcing the message.
That's a good point.
And that's been very effective, especially as you look at, going up against TV and radio. It's about frequency, right? And they're hitting multiple people with their message throughout that time frame. And in print, it's maybe a one-time in the preprint on Sunday, but we want to continue that message throughout the entire sales day so we can get, as much bang for the buck as we can.
Yeah, it's almost like a preprint enhancement.
Yes, we definitely use that lingo at times.
Cool. I can be a sales rep at the Star Tribune.
You're hired.
Excellent. I think in closing, we're just really happy that we were able to come here and share some of the successes that Carlos and his team have had with GIS and how it's affected, our advertising revenue in a positive way, as well as our circulation department. And so, we would love to have deeper conversations if it makes sense. We'd love to help any of your newspapers and publishers in ways. So, our contact information, I believe, is on the first slide. So feel free to reach out to either myself or Carlos for specific questions, and we'd love to be a resource. So thanks again for the time.
So, folks, if there are a few closing comments, but if there are any additional questions, we have time now and can answer those. I just want to remind you, number one, that you will get a copy of this presentation, and you can see both Eric and Carlos's contact information right there on the slide, cover slide that's up. And again, I know they would be happy to help. Number two, we will we'll send you a copy of the takeaways that will be put together by Cindy. We hopefully will have those by tomorrow, probably no later than Friday, that we'll get those out. And again, you will get a link to the recording. All that information will come from me, from my email. So, watch for that. And if you are anxious and you don't get it, just shoot me an email. I'll happy to make sure we get it out to you. So again, I want to thank Eric and Carlos for taking so much time to share this information. It's not, I know a lot of it is technical and a little bit heady, but hopefully I think they've done a good job at showing you the reality, the nut graph, so to speak, what this means to you and what it can mean to your customers. So I guess I would encourage you not to be intimidated by it, but rather to see how you can make something like this work for your newspaper and your sales department. I know they've found it beneficial, and I would not be discouraged that by many times people would say, yeah, but they're the Star Tribune and they're so big, but you know, the concept is what we're talking about here, that just understanding and really knowing your community and your subscribers and stuff. So information is power. Okay, so I don't see any additional questions. I'm imagining that they're going to have to pour through the recording and the slides again, but thank you so much, Carlos and Eric. I really appreciate your expertise and taking time to share this for everyone for the good of the order.
Thank you, Patty, and thank you guys for your time. Feel free to contact me or Eric anytime. We'll be more than happy to answer any other questions that you might have.
Thanks, guys. Everybody, make it a great day. Be safe. Be well. Bye.
Bye-bye.